What we have here are your classic, I believe these are coastal prickly pear, although prickly pears and beavertail cactus and then this whole group of cactus can interbreed with each other, and there's numerous species in California and the Americas, and they all kind of interbreed and look very similar, but I'm going to say coastal prickly pear, which is California native. You'll also see the larger Nopales tunas, spineless prickly pear, which is not technically a California native, but has been here for hundreds and hundreds of years due to agriculture. The indigenous people moved them around because they were delicious, and I don't disagree. These red cactus fruit are my favorite fruits, I think, in the world. Fantastically tasty. But what makes cactus cool and unique is a couple of things. Well, first of all, so all cactus species, all cactuses, are succulents. But not all succulents are cactus. So a lot of times people will just call anything they're growing that's a succulent a cactus. That is wrong. So the cactuses are a specific group of plants with a specific ancestry. In the same way like a dog would be different than a cat, but they're both carnivores. So you wouldn't call all cats dogs. They're two different things. So if it is a New World plant, for the most part, so almost every species of cactus is native to North, Central, South America and some of the surrounding islands. I say almost because there is one species that has a very unique life cycle, which is also found in parts of Africa and Asia. And it's hard to say if it was a natural distribution, but it could have been because these fruits are tasty, so it's a good chance birds or people moved it around a long time ago, and it's been grown there ever since. But for the most part, if it's in the Americas, it's a cactus. If it's not in the Americas, it's not a cactus. And what also determines what makes a cactus is, so most cactus that we think of as the classic cactuses, not all the cactuses, but the classic southwest ones, they're essentially inflated stems. So those pads are basically not leaves, they're stems. And then the leaves don't really exist on most of these, or they do when they're very young, and then they kind of fall off. But where the spines are is probably where the leaves would have been on a lot of these. But they're related to the roses, which kind of makes sense. You know, if you look at a rose, you got these big pretty flowers and these spiny stems. So you can imagine, a few million years of getting chomped on by stuff and in hot, dry areas, you're going to turn into something like this cactus. And a lot of cactus also have a unique feature where if you break off part of them, if you break off, say, one of these pads and you stick it in the ground, it's probably going to root and grow a new cactus. So that's one way they can reproduce, or seeds in their fruit. Now, the term succulent itself is essentially used to describe plants that are designed to do some combination of storing water and reducing water loss. So you think of cactuses as storing water, which isn't entirely accurate. They're not really storing water. There are some plants that literally store water. But these guys are more like reducing water loss and trying to keep what water they have inside. They're not like these basically these pads are not giant water storage structures. They're trying to reduce that water loss as much as possible. And they also do a unique thing in the cactuses. I believe all of them do this. Is you think of plants as they're awake during the day, sleep at night, right? Because they need the sun's energy. But a lot of these plants are essentially during the day they're storing the sun's energy so they can wake up at night and do their photosynthesis, make their food at night. How do they do that? Well, it's a fairly complicated process, but essentially know that the reason they do that is to do photosynthesis you need water and sun. And at night you reduce the rate of evaporation. So cactuses are doing it at night. They're storing the sun's energy during the day like you would a battery, and then at night they open up their little windows basically, and the water starts coming out and evaporating as they do the process. It's better at night. But if you have a plant in Africa, Asia, Europe, or a plant with those origins, probably not a cactus, it's probably something else, although many are succulents. And then the other unique thing about cactus is when we think of cactuses, we think of these desert southwest big spiny shrubs and trees, which is true, but because of their unique ability to reduce water loss and retain the water they have, they also have another habitat in the tropical rainforests, which you wouldn't think of like this cactus growing in a tropical rainforest, but it has relatives that do. And the reason they do this is because they are growing on other plants. So they grow on trees in places, like there's some species that grow just in mangroves. So mangrove forests are saltwater, but if you grow on the mangrove trees itself, you're not getting the saltwater, but you're getting rain. So you want to retain that rain because who knows when the rain's going to come again. So you turn into something like this cactus to reduce your water loss and retain the moisture you have so you can live on top of another plant in the rainforest. Very cool, very fun, and the native and non-native species all make fantastic garden plants, windowsill plants, you know, if you can avoid the spines, which I think we all would like to do.